Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. I have an Aurora class that I teach, a live in-person crochet class at Lifetime. So welcome to everybody. Anybody else who's joining us, totally fine. This is to go along, this YouTube video is to go along with the live in-person class, but anyone's welcome to join. My name's Lynn. And I'm very super new at making YouTube videos. I know nothing basically. So I just turn the camera on and we get started. We're going to make a dishcloth. So you have two choices. In this particular class, we can do a single crochet or a double crochet. Since this is for a beginner class, we are going to stick with the basics. All right. So this one here, I did a single crochet stitch. This one, I did a single and a double just to change it up, and I skipped every other stitch just to give a more open weave look. So in the in-person class, we'll talk about this a little more, and they can just choose which way they want to go. You can also choose which way you want to go as far as size. As you can see, one of these is a little smaller than the other. It's up to you, totally. All you need is some cotton yarn. I use Sugar and Cream 100% cotton yarn. You can also use any other brand that you like. You will need a crochet hook. I'm using a 4.0 millimeter. I think a 4.5 or even a 5 would work as well. That's it. That's all you need to get started. So let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we do anytime we're making a flat project like a dishcloth or a scarf or a blanket is do a chain row. So that is the foundation. First thing you do when you're going to make a chain is you need a slip stitch, or a slip knot, excuse me. You need a slip knot. So let's make a loop, just like that. That's it. You're going to reach inside that loop, and you're going to grab the working yarn, you know, the main piece. You're going to reach inside, you're going to grab that and pull it through. And there's your slip knot. Okay. You're going to adjust it down to a size just a little bit bigger than your hook so that you can get it through. And there's the beginning. That is it. That's your slip knot. Now, in order to have your stitches work out evenly, you want an even number. So choose a number. Let's start with 30 and see what that looks like. I'm going to do 30 chain stitch. And a chain is just pulling it through the loop, right? Hopefully you already know how to do that by now. If you do not, that's where the in-person class will come in handy. I'll be able to help you. Holding your yarn, you know, this is a beginner class, so holding your yarn is a very big part of learning. Look at my hands, how I'm holding everything. There's different ways to hold a crochet hook, so don't get me wrong on that. Some people like to hold it like a pencil. I never learned like that, so that's not me. I hold mine like I'm going to cut a steak, so I hold mine like a knife. My right hand, since I'm right-handed. My left hand, I put the working yarn between my index finger and my middle finger, and that steadies that. And then my pinky and my ring finger and my thumb work together to hold the work. Okay, so this up here is the working yarn, and down here is the work that I've completed. So everything, that all the tension, you're going to learn about tension and making sure all your stitches are the same size. And so how you hold your yarn makes a big difference. So just kind of look, the first time you watch this, just watch. Don't try to do anything. Look at how my hands are holding the yarn and watch how I move up. I'm not letting my work just dangle. I have to hold on to it. I have to keep it, you know, in check. I have to keep it And now look how see how my hand, if I did not move my thumb and my ring finger, do you see how it's getting loose up here? My stitches aren't looking very good. I don't know if you can see that stitch compared to these. It looks a little floppy, a little loose. That's because I didn't move my hand down here. I need to keep moving along with my work so that I can keep control of every stitch. It helps me control the tension. I want them to look the same, so if they're not looking the same, just pull them out. And all of my stitches are looking pretty much the same. I'm going to look at the top, kind of flatten it out. It should look like little V's. So let's count. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So let's see how we're doing on size. So this third 30 would be probably on the smaller side. So I'm going to go with 32 on this one. I feel like 32 will be good. I want to make one that's bigger than this yellow one. So I like this size better. The first one I did. Okay, so there's your chain stitch. Just as long as you have an even number and your stitches all look even, you're ready to go. Okay, so the next step will be to hold your work back here. Everything goes to the left. Now my working yarn's up here in between, either this way or this way, in between, whichever's more comfortable. I'm going to look at the second chain from my hook, because this is going to count as my turning chain. This very first one is going to be counted as my first turning chain. So I'm going to go in the second chain from hook. Notice how I pulled my yarn up so that my yarn was not too loose around my hook. I don't want to start something and have a big old loose floppy chain around my hook. I should always have all my stitches about the same size. So we're going to turn. Notice how I'm holding. My work is over here to the left now. I'm going to reach into that first, I'm going to go into the middle of my first chain, or the second chain from hook. Second chain from hook, I'm going to go into the middle. I'm going to pull up some yarn from my working yarn, pull it through. I'd readjust it a little bit so that they're both the same size. Pull up another loop and go through. That is my first single crochet. Yay! So we're going to do that all the way across. Another single crochet. Noticing that each stitch should look the same size. Insert. Pull up a loop from the working yarn, pull it through, grab another loop, and pull it through. I'll do that a couple more times. Watch this first. Watch it. Don't try to do anything until you've watched it. Then go through and hold your yarn, hold everything. Make sure it feels comfortable. And notice I'm checking my work as I go. All of my stitches look the same size. Being careful not to skip one. Not this row. We will give you an option later if you want to skip one. Right now, we're going into each one. Okay, let's do one more on camera and then I will come back and we will see the completed first row. Whoops, sometimes you get going and it slips right out. No problem. Just make sure you adjust that tension. Keep checking your work to make sure that they look the same size. I have my first row done. Now let's explain what the first row really is. Row 1 is the chain row and then the first single crochet row. That's really the foundation row. That's the basis for our project. Now, when I originally made this tutorial yesterday, I forgot to include row 2. I don't know how I did it. I told you I'm an amateur at making YouTube videos. So I'm actually coming back today and inserting this segment. So if it looks different, that's why. Okay, so I forgot the most important row of this whole tutorial is row 2. And somehow I forgot to insert that. So let's talk about row 2, y'all. Let me get my glasses on. Okay. We always skip the first one. We count that as our turning chain. That's our turning chain. That first stitch you see, it's really a chain stitch. Okay, we never use that. So the first actual stitch, that single crochet there, you can see when you look at the top of your work, it's very easy to see each stitch. Each looks like a V. So we're going to insert our hook into the top of that V, that first real stitch, the first single crochet stitch. We have 2 loops on our hook. Drop another loop and pull through. Now that is our first single crochet, just like we did for all of these. Here's the difference, because I want to get that open weave. I want to get a little different look. I like this for the dishcloth. I love how it turned out. So we're going with 1 single crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, go into the next stitch to work your next single crochet. Okay, so this is leaving a little space right there. Now when you do the chain stitch, that is making up for the missed stitch so that we have a nice even amount of stitches. So again, chain, skip this stitch, go to the next stitch, insert in both of those loops, pull up a new loop, single crochet, chain stitch, skip, work into the next. Let's do that again real slow. Keep checking your work as you go. Chain stitch, skip the next one. We're going to work into the next one. Always pulling up those 2 loops, make sure we're good. Drop another loop, pull it through. Chain stitch. So it's always a single and a chain in this pattern. Skip the next stitch, go into the next stitch. Draw up a loop, pull it up, pull it through. Chain. Continue to look at your work. Make sure each stitch is the same size. We're going to get that nice open weave, a little more open weave look. If you don't like this and you want to do single crochet in every stitch, just go ahead and continue single crochet in every stitch. It's important you make your decision right now though. On this first section, on row 2, you have to decide, am I going to do just the normal single crochet and I'll end up with that thicker weave, or am I going to follow this? It's totally up to you. I'm going to do one more. Skip the next stitch, go into the next one, do my single crochet, and then a chain. Every time I do a chain, that's making up for that skipped stitch. Okay, so we will continue on. I will come back at row 3. Okay, I'm at the end of my second row. Let's go ahead and finish that. And I'm ending up right where I should be at the very last stitch with my last single crochet. Chain 1 to turn. So that's 2 rows completed. The first row I did single crochet in every stitch, and then starting in row 2, I did that every other stitch with a chain in between. I'm going to continue that for the entire dishcloth. So in the beginning, we talked about the differences. If you do every stitch, which is totally fine if you're new and you just don't want to deal with anything different, you'll get this nice tight weave. If you go with every other stitch with the chain, like I'm demonstrating in this video, you'll end up with this. It looks a little different, has a little more open weave. I do have a third option for you. If you would like, you can do double crochet. So if you are if you already know how to do a double crochet stitch, what I did with this one is I did 2 rows of single and 1 row of double. 2 rows of single, 1 row of double, and I just alternated that. And I did the skip. You know, I skipped 1, chained 1. I guess there's a fourth option. You could do just all double crochet, or all double crochet, skip 1, chain 1. Heck, you can do any stitch you like for this dishcloth pattern. But that's the options. The one we're going to end up with is this one right here. I like it. I like the size. I like I like the weave better than this yellow one. But I like the options. You know, I like all the options. So let's leave this out like this. All right, let's get back to it. We just finished row 2. We chained 1 and we turned. Same thing. In the very first, we're going to skip that first turning chain. That turning chain doesn't count. We're going to go into that first single crochet, pull up a loop, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next. So I'm going to do that all the way until I get to the size that I like. It's approximately 30 more rows. Approximately, give or take. Just lay it down and look at it. When you are done and you've got the height that you want, we will move on and I'll show you how to finish it, how to make the edges look nice. I've got quite a few rows done, as you can see. I like how it's turning out. I like the weave by skipping every other stitch. I just like it for a dish rag. What can I say? Anyway, I popped on here to show you something that happens when you are crocheting. I actually did rewind this yarn into a pretty ball for my yarn holder, but I didn't notice when it was winding that the manufacturer had a knot, you know, where 2 pieces had been tied together. So sometimes you'll run into that, unfortunately. So when that happens, just work the yarn as best you can around that. It's just the way it is. And let me show you what I do. I'm going to turn. So I just worked around it. I've got this little piece here. Now that's all ugly. But just like any time you finish off an end and you tie it off, you always have that. So what we're going to do is treat that as if it was, you know, the end, or where you changed colors in another project. So we're just going to, what I do is I weave in the ends a little bit, and then I take a little tacky fabric glue to it. This doesn't have enough to weave in, so it is what it is. So I usually use some tacky glue, and I just literally take a drop and I'll place it right underneath and press it down. And then, you know, the next day or several hours later, it's perfectly clear and dry, and you'll never notice it. And then if you want to clip off the fuzzy ends, you can clip those off. So just try to ignore it, keep working, and we will fix that in the end. So I'll be back when I'm heading on. Oh, another thing I wanted to pop on here. I may as well address this right now. Sometimes when you are crocheting with cotton yarn, or any yarn for that matter, but cotton is famous for this, there's 4 strands put together to create this gauge size yarn. And as you can see, you know, it can easily split apart when you are crocheting. So be careful when you're working with it that you go through all 4 strands every time. So don't let it split on you. Just make sure, just be aware that cotton yarn does do that on occasion. Sometimes there'll be certain parts of the yarn ball that are worse than others. Right now, this part's looking pretty good. But back in this previous row, the yarn was coming off the roll a little loose. So it was splitting real bad. And now it's back to being okay. So just something to be aware of. Okay, I've got to the last row from what I feel is a good size. And of course, there's that little piece where the ends, where the, the knot was from the manufacturer. So here's what it looks like on the good side, but we're going to fix that. So I'm on the last row, and I decided I wanted it to match, of course. I wanted it to match the first row. And remember, the first row, I did a single crochet in each stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing up here. So instead of skipping and chaining, I'm going to do a single crochet in every stitch. I feel like this would add a little stability to the project, having the outer edge with the tighter weave. And I'm telling you, going from the skipping every other and the chain stitch in between, that chain stitch is not super easy to get into. So it's one row, so you can do it, but that is not easy to get into. I will tell you, you might get a little frustrated, but at least it's only for one row. The other chain, the regular single crochet stitch, will be super easy to get into. So I'm going to go off camera, finish this row. See how that yarn just split a little? So you just got to be careful you get back into where you need to be so that it's not split. And I'm going to go ahead and finish that row, and then I will show you how we're going to finish the edge and square it up perfectly. So I've turned it over on its side. And you've probably noticed by now that the sides look a little bumpy, and that's just normal. So we want to square it up. We want it to have a finished look. So all I did was start doing single crochets along the side. That's all. And you can see how that yarn wanted to split on me. So I'm going to open it up and make sure. And you just insert your hook anywhere that you see that you can along the edge, and then do your single crochet stitches. Look at it, make sure they're the same size, and go all the way until you get to the bottom. Okay, I just finished this side. Now I'm doing a slip stitch along the bottom. And a slip stitch is just inserting your hook and then just inserting that back through the original loop. Try that again. Insert your hook into the next stitch, pull it up, and then just pull it through. We're not adding another stitch to this row. We're just slipping through along this bottom edge. Insert, pull up, insert, back through. Now, like I can tell that I don't love that one. I'm going to pull it out. I don't like where I inserted that hook. I just want to insert it through one loop. Like, I don't want to go here. I want to go here. We want this stitch to be incognito. So we're not creating a stitch here. We're just shoring it up, tightening it up, squaring it up. And I'm just moving my yarn along the bottom edge without it being noticed. So there's what that should look like. So no stitch. You could, if you want, you could, if you don't like the slip stitch, you could, in theory, just do another row of single crochet if you want. That's totally fine. I just wanted to not add any more length. So I'm at the end, my last slip stitch. Now I'm going to work up the other side, just same as we did this side. I'm going to do single crochets up the side. Okay, I'm at the end. I just finished the other side. I have one stitch to go. So I'm going to finish with that last stitch, the last single crochet. And at this point, I'm done. So I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch that's actually on the top. I'm going to slip stitch into that, pull it back through, and then I'm going to finish this off. This is where you're going to cut your yarn and weave in the ends. So I'm going to cut it, pull it through, and I'm going to separate. This is where this yarn comes in real handy, that it separates really easy. Take 2 pieces and 2 pieces and tie it. You don't have to do it this way. If you have a different way of tying, you want to tie it differently, go for it. But this is a project that, you know, dishcloth is going to be washed over and over in the washing machine. I want it to hold up. I want it to hold up. Wash after wash. So I've got this. I'm going to go into one of the stitches next to it, and I'm going to pull it up through. This is called weaving in your ends. Come up through in an inconspicuous place, wherever you want to do it, and just weave it in a few times. Now, you don't have to go this extra step, but I like to, again, because this is going to be a highly washed item, I'm going to tie it off again. It just gives me a better feeling for it holding up. I do 3. You can do whatever you want. I even sometimes will go for another round of weaving, but this time I'm not. I'm going to cut this off. So I'm going to go to the other end, the other corner. I've already tied this once, but I'm going to tie it again just to show you. And I'm going to weave in the ends a little bit here. Now you can leave it at this if you want to, or you can actually, the final step for me, I clip them. So now we've got the manufacturer defect, or the manufacturer tie that we're going to finish, and then our beginning and our end. What I do is I take the tacky glue, fabric glue, and I'm going to show you how I do this. I buy these little micro brushes that you can use for many, many things. You can see it's got a little teeny tiny tip on it. I buy these for like manicures, or they come in handy, and for lots of things. So I actually don't like the spout that comes on this glue. It's just, after a couple of uses, it's really hard to get the glue out. So I take this little micro brush, and we're going to start with the manufacturer tie. And I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of glue on the back of that. And hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to put the teeniest little bit of glue on it and press it down. This is probably not necessary, but you know, I went to all the trouble to make this look nice. So I'm going to do the extra step. This will dry clear. So, you know, in a few hours, you won't see the whitish edge. And it blends in fine. So we're going to do the same thing with this up here. I'm going to dip it into my glue. Put just the teeniest little bit of glue on here. I don't want it to become a hard glop. There's a gnat in here. My husband keeps opening the door. He's out there working on his truck, and he opened the door several times and left it open. So we've got some bugs flying around in here. Okay. I like bugs. I like all creatures, but I don't like them in my house. So, okay, so again, I'm going to clip off what I don't want. That whitish stuff will dry. And our last one right here. I still have enough glue on here. And I'm just going to press it down. And that is it. Let me wipe off my hands. And I will show you what we got here. I'd say I am really happy with this. It looks nice and square. And let me hold it up. It's a hair smaller than I really wanted it to be. But you know, every yarn you buy, every different yarn brand, it works up a little different. And so this is the first time I've used this for a dishcloth. And you know, but this one here was a little softer. This one's a little like rougher, which is great for dishes, right? It's good for cleaning a cleaning rag. So in the end, I'm happy with that. So any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. And happy crocheting, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.